Well, it was Mel Kiper. All the Georgia fans are going nuts over Mel Kiper. Um, but one of the things he said over the weekend was kind of, I just feel like I have to address these things because it's not something that we can know. It's an unknowable thing, and it's just expressing his opinion, right? I don't have to do a video every time these things pop up, but sometimes when they're completely ridiculous, like the Mark Ingram one, I'm going to. So we're going to talk about what Mel Kiper said here. He says Alabama beats Georgia if Jamison Williams doesn't get hurt and plays in the national championship game. I think what he means to say is Alabama scores more than a touchdown against Georgia if he plays, because up until that point Alabama had not scored a touchdown and they only scored one touchdown the entire game. Uh, that also leaves out all of the Georgia players that were injured for the national championship game. And that Mel Kiper's job is not to um, be a fortune teller of things that we don't know could have happened or wouldn't have happened. We don't know, right? Um, does Georgia win that game if the referees make the correct call on the Bryce Young fumble? So if my aunt were my uncle, she'd be a man. We can't we or how long are we going to do this for? There is a particular earned in a way notion that Alabama can only lose games because they lost them, not because they got beat. They got their ass beat. That's it. It's just what happened. It's not a big deal. You get your ass beat sometimes. It's not new to Alabama. I mean, get their ass beat sometimes. LSU whipped their ass in 2019. I mean, it happens. It happens. We talk about this a lot in DAWGSTRUCTION. We have the game where Alabama whipped Georgia's ass in here. It happens, right? I mean, this is a part of being a competitor and fighting and so forth. One part in the book, again, speaking of a guy who's had a bad weekend in the NFL draft, Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean, this is a picture in DAWGSTRUCTION. You can pick the link up below. And I was sitting there watching the guys come off the field. My job is to chronicle what happens. And as Alabama was celebrating in the corner, Georgia's players were kind of going off to their locker room on the side. Justin Schaefer had a hard time coming off the field. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But it was Nakobe Dean who stopped and watched the celebration really more than anybody on Georgia's team. Nakobe stopped with former Dog Jonas Jennings to watch as Alabama once more celebrated a championship at the expense of Georgia. Justin Schaefer was the most upset of the Georgia players that moved into the locker room. The Atlanta native was consoled by offensive line coach Matt Luke and Kirby Smart. But this wasn't like the other two times the two powers. This wasn't like the other times the two powers had squared off. This time the game wasn't terminal. Nakobe Dean watched as Alabama hoisted a trophy, but it wasn't the trophy. That would be decided in January, and that would be a very different game than the one in December. And it would. And it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse that Alabama lost the game. Pick up DAWGSTRUCTION. The link is down below. I'm running out of copies, so kind of get going on that if you want it before Father's Day and graduation. It's not an excuse. It is an explanation, but it is a little ridiculous after a while. This drum beat that what would have happened. We don't know what would have happened. He doesn't say I think. He says they beat Georgia. No, Mel, we don't know that, bro. We just don't know that. We don't know. And I like Mel Kiper. I think he does a good job. Frankly, I know it's great entertainment and has been great entertainment over time. And I think what I get kind of annoyed with is the certainty of one thing in a game making the outcome of that game change. I don't know. What if and think of any moment in history, and if it doesn't happen, then this. Well, we think that. We don't know anything. We don't know anything. I know what the final score was, and it was that Georgia won the game 33-18. They beat them by double digits. Honestly, the reason why Alabama probably, and we still don't know this, doesn't win that game is because Bryce Young was getting his ass handed to him that game. It wasn't his fault, but he got pressured and hit. Well, he got pressured 40 times. They were in his grill the whole night. Honestly, I thought it was a really good performance for a quarterback that shouldn't have had a good performance considering everything that was flying around him, which is red and well silver britches. He was getting pressured consistently. Now, this is what we do is we choose a winner. It's often in the NFL the Patriots, and we figure out ways that they shouldn't have won or the explanations as to why they lost. And the truth is, Alabama just lost. That's it. I mean, it's Mark Ingram the other day. You don't get credit for when you were playing at Alabama for now. What happened happened. And Alabama, again, I repeat this ad nauseum. Alabama's still the best program in college football, but nobody's feeling sorry for them. Nobody feels sorry for them the way they don't feel sorry for Georgia, Ohio State, whoever. But when Clemson whipped their ass in 18, I mean, they whipped their ass. The only ridiculousness we heard out of that game was that Trevor Lawrence would never lose a game in college, except he got his ass whipped, okay, by Ohio State in his final game. He walked off the field a loser, right? It's part of sports. You're going to get your ass whipped. You're going to lose games. I thought what Nick Saban said after the game was an explanation more than an excuse. He said, we lost the national championship game basically because we had three corners out, both starters, and the best backup. He didn't even talk about the wide receivers, right? He explained what was going on. And, that is one thing that happened. He also said to Kirby right after the game, y'all whipped our ass in the fourth quarter. Well, it's whatever you want. It doesn't matter. I mean, they're not sending the trophy to Tuscaloosa in exchange for crutches. Okay. The Williams kid got hurt. It's too bad. It's a part of sports. Just the same way these players were not at full strength or did not play for Georgia. Tate Ratledge, George Pickens, Eric Gilbert, Dominic Blaylock. I mean, it's what it is. It's a part of sports. It's a part of sports. It's why you go recruit when you have an 85 scholarship level. It's just what it is. There's no reason to go round and around about this all the time. I promise I will not continue to do this unless someone says something outlandish. Mark Ingram's comments from the other day were really kind of the most unintelligent thing I've seen in a while about it. That Georgia won because Kirby was from Alabama. Kirby is definitely not from Alabama. I mean, Kirby will not get credit for a loss if Dan Lanning loses his opener against the Dogs. That's not how this works. You don't get credit for that. I mean, that's the most insane, uh, uh, self-loving rant that you could delusional maybe, that you could come up with. I don't know what it. Listen, I have complete and full respect and realistic respect for Alabama and what Nick has done. What we're seeing right now is a coming to terms that Alabama's not just going to roll the ball out there and beat everybody. And that's hard for some people to understand. But we've seen it a lot more often lately than we did, when Mark Ingram was there. I mean, Alabama won 3 national championships in 4 years. It's going to take them a while to do that now. I mean, that would mean they would need to run back-to-backs in 22 and 23. I mean, I don't think that's happening, but whatever, right? And they haven't done that in a while, and they probably won't. But it shows how hard it is to achieve what Nick did in 11 and 12. Did we do this about the kick six? Or is it just considered one of the great moments in college football? Whatever. I mean, it's where we're at. Pick up DAWGSTRUCTION. The link's down below. Don't miss out on running out of books.